Toronto shot 4 of 30 from 3, they won. The lowest effective field goal percentage by any winning team in NBA playoff history since the three-point line was introduced. 47 years of playoff basketball, none of them uglier. 13.3% from deep, 32% from the field, final score 93-89. This was not a lucky win, this was a scheme. Toronto sent 2 defenders at Donovan Mitchell every time he caught the ball. They forced James Harden to be a primary creator and watched him give it away 15 times across 2 nights. They lived at the free throw line, 27 of 36. The ugliest playoff win in 47 years was the most calculated. Let's start with the box score. Sunday night, Scotiabank Arena, Game 4 of the first round, series tied 1-2. Toronto from the field, 31 of 97, 32.0%. Toronto from 3, 4 of 30, 13.3%. That 13.3 is the 3rd lowest mark in any playoff game on 30 or more attempts in league history. Toronto's effective field goal percentage was the lowest by any winning team in any NBA playoff game since the three-point line was introduced in 1979-80. That is a 47-year first. Final score, Toronto 93, Cleveland 89. Now the easy story to tell here is variance. Toronto got cold. Cleveland missed open looks, pencil it in as a fluke, and move on to Game 5. That story does not survive the box score. Variance does not produce a 4-point margin against the top 3 offense in the East. Variance does not deliver the lowest winning team efficiency mark in 47 years on a night the losing team is supposed to be the better shooting unit. The brief of Game 4 is structural. Toronto knew it could afford to shoot 13% because the scheme was going to hold Cleveland under that bar in real efficiency. Lowest winning EFG percentage in 47 years means every winning team in 47 years shot better. Most of them did not have to win this way. Toronto was building toward this trade from possession 1. The Raptors did not get hot. They got the opposite of hot. They had the worst shooting night a winning team has had in the playoff era, and they walked out with a 4-point margin. The number that made it work is not on Toronto's side of the box score, it is on Cleveland's. Here is what Toronto did on defense. Aggressive double-team coverage on Donovan Mitchell, every catch above the break, 2 defenders at the catch, hard close from opposite angles, force him off his rhythm spots, make him pass into a shrunken floor. Drop coverage gives a star catch-and-shoot looks. Switching gives a star a mismatch. Toronto did neither. Toronto blitzed. The numbers across Game 3 and Game 4. Donovan Mitchell from the field, 13 of 40, 32.5%. That is 2 games, an all-star scoring guard who has shot well above 32% across his playoff career, held to 13 of 40 by a coverage built specifically for him. That is not a cold spell, that is a scheme holding water. James Harden across the same 2 games, 15 turnovers. Harden does not give the ball up unless he is being attacked off the dribble. Toronto attacked him every possession. The blitz on Mitchell turned Harden into the primary creator. Harden in 2026 is no longer that player. 15 turnovers in 2 games is the number that confirms it. The downstream effect of blitzing the ball handler is that Cleveland's role players had to make the next play in 0.5 seconds. They missed the next pass, or they took a covered 3. Cleveland in Game 4 from beyond the arc. 10 of 40, 25%. The threes Cleveland got were the threes Toronto wanted them to take. Late in the clock, against the closing defender, off the second pass. Mitchell, 13 of 40 across 2 games. Harden, 15 turnovers in the same 2 nights. Cleveland from 3 in Game 4, 10 of 40. None of those numbers are cold streaks. All 3 of them are the same scheme working 3 different ways. Toronto did not get lucky. Toronto wrote a scheme that turned Cleveland's 2 best offensive players into the 2 reasons Cleveland lost. Now the third pillar, Toronto from the free throw line, 27 of 36, 75%. That is 27 points generated without a field goal attempt being made. On a night the Raptors made only 31 field goals total, the made free throw count was 27. Almost a 1-to-1 ratio of made foul shots to made field goals. That is an extraordinary inversion. Basketball is not supposed to work that way. Game 4 worked that way because the defensive scheme made it work that way. The chain is causal, not coincidental. The blitz on Mitchell forced live ball turnovers. Live ball turnovers generated transition opportunities. Transition opportunities generated foul calls. Foul calls generated 27 points at the line. Without the free throw line, Toronto loses by 23. Without the free throw line, the 4 of 30 line from deep is the headline, and the Raptors fly home down 3-1. 75% from the stripe is not elite, it is league average. The number that mattered was the volume. 36 attempts, Cleveland took 17 fewer. Toronto manufactured 36 trips to the line because the defensive scheme manufactured the chaos that earns those trips. This is the analytical move most game recaps will miss. Free throw line dominance in this game was not a separate strategy, it was downstream of the defensive scheme. You cannot live at the line without first creating live ball turnovers and transition pressure on the other end. 27 points from the line, 31 field goals total, almost the same number. Toronto's offense ran a 1-to-1 ratio of made free throws to made field goals on a night they shot 32% from the field. That is not how basketball is supposed to work. It is how Game 4 worked because the defense made it work that way. 3 pillars: defensive blitz, Harden as the broken release valve, free throw line dominance, each one downstream of the one before it. So here is the question the chalkboard is forcing. Was Game 4 a fluke or a blueprint? The honest steelman, and we have to take it seriously, sounds like this. Toronto got lucky. Cleveland missed open threes that will fall in Game 5. Donovan Mitchell will score 35 in the next game, and people will forget Game 4 ever happened. The 4 of 30 line cuts both ways. Toronto is not a strong shooting team. Cleveland is. The variance was bound to swing back. Run the same series 10 times, and the Cavs win 7 of them. That is the book the Cleveland coaching staff will sell their locker room before tip-off in Game 5. On its own terms, it is reasonable. The problem is that the variance argument requires the missed shots to be open. They were not. Cleveland's 10 of 40 from 3 in Game 4 came against a defense that was structurally designed to make every Cleveland 3 a late clock, contested second pass attempt. Mitchell's 13 of 40 across 2 games came on possessions where 2 defenders were in his airspace at the catch. Harden's 15 turnovers came on possessions where Toronto was reading the kickout angle a half second before Harden made it. None of those numbers regress to the mean in Game 5 unless Toronto stops running the scheme. Toronto will not stop running the scheme. The scheme has now produced 2 wins in 3 games. The chalkboard does not unlearn what works. So here is the verdict. Toronto had 2 options heading into Game 4 down 2-1. Option 1, hope the shooting comes back. Option 2, build a defense so suffocating that the shooting did not have to come back. They picked option 2. They sent 2 defenders at Mitchell every time he caught the ball. They forced Harden to be a primary creator and watched him give it away 15 times across 2 nights. They blitzed every Cleveland pick and roll above the break and sat on the corners on the kickout. They lost their own offense in the process. 4 of 30 is what the cost of running this scheme on both ends looks like. They did not care. They went 27 of 36 at the line because the scheme generated foul line trips. They walked out with a 4-point win. The ugliest playoff win in 47 years was the most calculated. 3 pillars hold the verdict up. Pillar 1, the defensive blitz on Mitchell. 2 defenders at every catch above the break, 13 of 40 across 2 games. The scoring engine neutralized. Pillar 2, Harden as primary handler, forced into the role he can no longer play efficiently in 2026. 15 turnovers in 2 games. The release valve broken. Pillar 3, free throw line dominance, 27 of 36, downstream of live ball turnovers and transition fouls, the bridge between a broken offense and a 4-point win. 3 pillars, 3 answers. None of them require Toronto to shoot well. All of them require Cleveland to shoot worse. That is the definition of a defensive game plan. That is the definition of a 47-year first. Game 5 is in Cleveland. Toronto has now run this scheme for 4 games. Cleveland has not solved it. The Cavs have 48 hours to figure out whether to play Harden off the ball, whether to flatten the pick and roll into a more spaced action, whether to give Mitchell more catch and shoot looks instead of catch and create looks. Toronto has 48 hours to decide whether to keep blitzing or hold something back. The series is tied, the chalkboard is not. We will see whose pencil breaks first. Until then,